o'clock, I'll call to order the meeting of the Kerrville Economic Improvement Corporation for September 21st, 2020. Don has agreed to lead us in our invocation.
Father, we want to thank you for this opportunity to serve you in every way that we can. Part of our service is to walk through this community and look at the things that need to be done and the things that you want us to do. We ask for your guidance, your counsel, and your approval in everything we do. And in your Son's name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Okay, our Visitor Citizens Forum is the next item on the agenda. Do we have anyone registered to speak?
No, we don't.
Nope. Okay, next item on the agenda is the approval of the minutes from the regular EIC meeting held on August 17th, 2020.
Chairman, I'll make a motion that we approve all the minutes 4A, 4B, and 4C.
Okay?
I'll second.
Thank you. All those in favor of approving, please raise your right hand. All right, they are approved. Next item on our agenda is the KEDC update. Mr. Salinas?
Mr. Chair, members of the board, I'm going to start with some of our local economic indicators. Then I'm going to be touching on some of our current project activity, and then I'm going to turn it over to Teresa, who's going to give her report. So as far as unemployment, the most recent data that we have is that we are at about 4.6% unemployment rate. So that's down from 6.0, 6.6, 10.1, and at the height of COVID, we're at about 12.8%. So we continue to be well below state and national average. The numbers, so we expect that they'll continue to drop a little bit more, as some of the unemployment benefits will probably start shrinking here in the next couple of months, and the closer that we get to the holidays as well. Sales taxes, I don't have that particular number, but I know that we have been increasing. So statewide, we're at about 4.8%. And that at one point where the state was at about 20% as far as losses in sales tax collections. So we still have some communities that are reporting double-digit decreases. I think we're at about 11% for the last month. So it's a combination of online sales shopping and us being a regional hub that's really paying dividends for our economy here. And we expect those numbers, again, the closer we get to the holidays, to start remaining stable. Moving on to Project SkyMaster, which is Killdeer Mountain Manufacturing. For those of you, actually, I think everybody was there at the City Council meeting. Thank you for your support, both for the city, on behalf of the EIC, as well as the EDC and city staff. So on the EDC side, we still have some pending items, more at the state level, as far as some of the state programs that we have. We are working with Texas Workforce Commission and Alamo Colleges, as the company now is looking, hopefully by next month, as they start to hire their first cohort of employees. We're going to be working with Alamo Colleges to start the training process and accessing some of those state funds. As far as next steps, we're now starting to have some high-level discussions with KMM as it pertains to some of the suppliers, specifically those in the West Coast area. They've expressed some interest in trying to move some of those closer to their operation, which would be in Kerrville. Also, they've asked, entrepreneur, what is your talent pool as far as entrepreneurs in the area? And then the other one, they've said, would you all help, which obviously the answer is yes, as far as capacity for new businesses for their operation at the proposed Kerrville facility. So we're now, again, having those high-level discussions with them. I'll say that as a result of the publicity that came from the SkyMaster announcement, we were asked, and we have already participated in an aerospace workforce panel through the Office of the Governor. This was a couple of weeks ago. We were a panelist along with Lockheed Martin, Standard Aero, and then also Blue Origin. So it was a great publicity for Kerrville to come in and be able to talk about the project. Huge plug for the project, and making a pitch for Kerrville in the Hill Country area. Also, we have been asked again, because of the publicity from the SkyMaster project, and we've been selected to be a panelist to speak at the International Economic Development Council at their annual conference. That's going to be next month. This is, again, Project SkyMaster. It's going to be at a national platform this time. So it's a great plug for Kerrville. We're going to be in company with, it's going to be KDC, Bell Helicopter, and Boeing as well. So those are some pretty big names. On the site selector side, I think I had mentioned this at the last meeting that after the announcement, we got some calls from site selectors who basically asked, talk to me about Kerrville, your workforce, supply chain, so on and so forth. And, we can't be naive. They asked, how did you pull this deal together as far as incentives and what have you? That's how they operate. Okay, so more on the local
You
economic
told
side.
them everything, didn't you?
Whatever I could within the parameters of where we're at.
Gil,
Good
I have
question.
a quick
Yes, sir.
question for you about, you said the local unemployment rate's about 4.6% currently.
Correct.
What was it before, like in January, March, or January, February, March timeframe? before?
January and February tends to increase a little bit right after the holidays, but even then, we were like at 3.2, 3.3%.
So we're still a little bit higher than where we were pre-pandemic.
Yeah. At the lowest, we're usually right around 2.8, 2.9, which is one of the lowest in the state of Texas. So we're getting very, very close to pre-COVID levels.
Gotcha.
And I will say that not any community in the state of Texas can say that. Along those lines, so both on jobs and sales taxes, we're seeing that stabilize. And look, COVID has hit a lot of our local businesses pretty hard, especially some of our small businesses. And we had been quoted earlier when the pandemic started that some businesses were not going to survive, and that's just the natural cycle of business. However, with our top employers, and there's some businesses that are doing actually very well. With our top employers outside of Peterson Medical Center, them, like all other hospitals in the United States, they're struggling. But James Avery, they started to rehire a lot of their people. So if you drive through their facility, you'll see that they're busy. The state hospital, they have a $30 million construction project right now, and they're on track to hire 200 plus people by the beginning of next year. That process has started as well. Prime Metal Buildings, our newest corporate citizen, they just opened up about 3 weeks ago. So it's about 20 jobs with very good wages. And then All Plastics, they continue to be on a hiring spree. So, those help wanted times are out there. So it's all of that activity that's going to help us remain stable. And at one point in time when COVID passes, we're going to be hitting the ground running already as far as kickstarting our local economy, both on the jobs and sales tax revenue. Project activity, Project Golf. We had a prospect visit about 3 weeks ago. This was an investment firm out of the Midwest that owns several aviation-related companies. It was a very preliminary visit, but they are looking at several locations for a new company. It's specifically in the avionics service industry. Has a potential to create upward of about 50 jobs, paying $75,000 in average annual wages. So those are definitely the companies that we want. Capital investments about $1.3 million, medium to high skill set that will require a lot of technicians. So we can definitely see in our discussions with them, and once we started making the pitch for Kerrville, that there's some great opportunities to partner with KISD and some of their CTE programs, and also building on the synergy from SkyMaster or KMM, as well as what Mooney is going to be doing here in the near future. Prime Metals, I had mentioned. The one thing I do want to say about Prime Metals is, and you all have probably heard it already, but I was driving around town and I'm still one of the ones that listens to AM, FM radio. But they had a commercial on the radio with their own little jingle, and it was all about, their Kerrville facility. So this is a nerd to me, right? As an economic developer, I was pretty excited. It's like, hey, that's, they're assimilating into our Kerrville culture here. So, and they're here, and they're hiring. Teresa's been doing a great job already working with them as far as workforce training dollars for their operation. Project Vista, that is one of the top site selectors. I might have mentioned this at the other meeting as well. It called us up, and they are working a project for the 400,000 square foot facility just on the other side of the county line in Kendall County. It's a manufacturer that's looking to relocate from California, including their headquarters. the site selector reached out to us because they wanted quality of life and housing information for Kerrville and for Kerr County, because they said this company is gonna be hiring from both sides of the county line. So we're happy to provide that information and continue working with them. In a couple of weeks, we're gonna be meeting with the Bernie EDC to start discussing both housing and workforce opportunities in the Comfort and Center Point area, because that's where we anticipate that we're gonna see the bulk of the growth associated with this particular company. And again, those two communities fall on both sides of county lines. And this goes back to us just helping really kickstart our local economy with this new company coming in. And the beauty of it is we really don't have to put any dollars into this particular project. That's on their side. Mooney, you might have read about this new ownership at Mooney. It's an attorney out of New York City and a group of Mooney pilots. We've already scheduled it's a call, not necessarily a visit, with their new ownership, and that's going to happen at the beginning of October, basically to introduce ourselves and see what their plans are for the facility here in Kerrville. Wrapping up here, Project Real Jet. This is actually a college that has a major program in aircraft maintenance. So they're looking at setting up shop at our airport. They've started inquiring, and it's a facility. It's a college that has 2 other campuses, and they're looking to build a 3rd campus. It's a highly recognized college in the Southwest, I'll say that. And they've, again, because of what's happening with Kildare, they started asking about availability, space, and what have you at the airport. And this is a college that prides itself with having, for their students, real hands aeronautics training for a regional workforce. So again, we're now in discussions with them, and we're getting a site visit from them next week, as a matter of fact. So again, it's no accident that the majority of the project activity that we're seeing right now is in the aerospace and aviation, and that's what the power of one project. You know, I like to say that success builds on more success or breeds more success, and that's exactly what we're starting to see in our office. And once we have that blueprint down, that's when then we really start having fun with, building that cluster. So with that, before I turn it over to Teresa, she's going to have her report, a very good report. Any questions?
I have one on the avionics company. Is that in any way related to Kildare? So, I mean, I realize they probably wouldn't have contacted us had we not done that deal, but would they be dependent upon Kildare for their business?
That's a good question, and no, they're not. It's totally separate. Totally separate, but there had been an inquiry from them a few months ago, and I mean, just as soon as we announced SkyMaster, they called back, and within a week, they came in and visited our community. It just, they like to associate themselves, these companies, with other, big name companies. Okay.
Thank you, Gil.
I'll have Teresa come and do her report.
Good afternoon, council members. Thank you for your time. Since our last update, and given the circumstances, we have yet again adapted, and I would like to say that we've been able to complete our first annual 40 Under 40 in a little bit of a non-traditional manner, and that was that we were able to present those awards personally to each of those 40 recipients. And I wanted to start by saying we wouldn't have been able to accomplish this program without our panel of judges. So I wanted to take the opportunity to thank first our regional partners in that. Those were Amy Story from the Bernie-Kendall County Economic Development, Tim Lemberg, who's the Executive Director for the Gillespie County Economic Development. And then from here in Kerr County, we had Mindy Wendeley, who's the now owner of Social Graces, Toby Appleton from Schreiner University, and Greg Appel from Centennial. And of course, also, we wouldn't have been able to do that without the members of the community submitting on behalf of those recipients. So we did spend the first part of the first week of September handing out those awards, and we had award recipients from Bandera, Gillespie, Kendall, and again, of course, from Kerr County. And although it wasn't in the original format that we intended it to be, it ended up being quite impactful, not only for the recipients, but for us as well. And we kind of can measure that a couple of different ways. If you're about numbers, one of the ways that we can measure that is through the social media. And currently, we have now exceeded 77,000 views on those posts across platforms, over 25,000 engagements, and over 20,000 comments. So quite an impact for us as an economic development entity and our social media. But for me personally, and I think for those personal engagements with each of those individuals, what was most impactful was that we were able to meet with them on a one-on-one basis and present those awards. We were able to spend meaningful time together and give them the opportunity to have that time with their team, which, true to their nature, in those moments, you would say they, of course, were not able to accomplish what they've been able to do without that support system. And for us as an economic development, first and foremost, what we do is about making those connections and building those relationships. And so meeting and engaging personally with 40 business members of the communities, leaders, innovators, was really just priceless. These are kind of like what Gil alluded to earlier. These are the people that we hope to engage with that are going to build on the businesses that they already have and move us forward in our communities. And we look forward to being able to collaborate with them in that. They have incredible ideas that they're already implementing, but we never know what that will look like moving forward. So we've already laid that foundation for some. And one in particular, I had the opportunity on Tuesday of that week to be able to spend about 4 hours in a leadership growth team building kind of exercise with Texas Railing System with Wayne and his team, and learning more about the day-to-day operations of his business, his team, what the outlook of that business is, his expansion plans. And I don't think I would have had that opportunity had we not made plans to even provide or surprise Megan Owen, who is one of the 40 under 40. So just incredible opportunities that have come out of this award, and of course the circumstances and why we had to present the way that we did. So we've had an incredible response, obviously. We're not exactly sure what 2021 will look like as far as the award, but we know that it will be something. We've had lots of people say, well, it needs to be 50 under 50 or 45 under 45. But we're excited to see it move forward, and we're really excited about the participation. So,
Yeah. Anybody have any questions for Teresa?
Great job.
Yeah, great job. I thought your social media was very effective, and it was a great introduction to a lot of those people that I didn't know, and to get to see what they're doing in our community and the good contributions they're making is it's a great thing for y'all to recognize them. So thanks for doing that.
thank you.
Okay. Next item on the agenda, 5B, is the monthly financial report. You don't look anything like Miss Dozier.
I do not. I do not. Thankfully for both of us. I'm just going to very quickly go over a few highlights from the financial statement. And if you guys have any questions, you're going to have to save them to next month. Essentially, let me go through. I did pull Amy's PowerPoint. I'm going to fast forward just a little bit here to the actual financial analysis, because I think this is a particular highlight that we want to talk about, because it has a lot to do with this group. We had very fortunate, especially given the pandemic situation, that we had a solid August sales tax collection, which this report is the ending of the August collection date. Essentially, it's 10.7% higher than August of 2019. And we don't normally preview and report on September, but because we are closing out the year and we already had collections, given the timing of when this meeting occurred, we actually had 11.2% year over year for September collections. So we're still digging into the data for September, but what August showed us was that we continue to have very strong regional retail, which has been a key component of what we've talked about and what you guys have helped catalyze. And then in addition, one of the other highlights for August was that we had, for the first time, within the food service category, we had a 3% increase, which was the first time for this year. So beginning to see that turning around and those folks beginning to have business pick back up again. So very good on both of those fronts. Just quickly, we had a few expenses for Doyle School, which is currently going through the design process and getting closer to initiating construction. And then we had some professional services fees, but essentially, again, a very strong cash balance of just under $3 million. I do want to highlight, we did have a re-rating of the city's debt and a potential refunding policy that's coming up, particularly that Series 2012 debt that's related to EIC was looked at in addition to the overall city finances, very strong financial management practices and general management practices found by S&P, and they did reaffirm the city's AA bond rating. Other than that, I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have. Or you can save them for Amy.
Well, just want to point out that it looks like we ended the year, or planned to end the year, 3.5% over budget, even with COVID.
Actually, that's, we'll have to accrue
5.6.
60 days into the next fiscal year, so that number's going to be higher.
Excellent.
Wonderful.
Great. Thank you. Anybody else have any questions for Mr. Hoppy?
That's just unbelievable numbers considering what we've been through.
Absolutely.
Isn't it?
Absolutely. Really shows the strength of our regional economy.
Absolutely. Also included your project report within your packet agenda. I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have on that. But per your direction last time, didn't really ask for a presentation on it. So.
Really hadn't changed much since last month anyway.
Other than really kind of completion of two big projects, one being the River Trail, which we cut the ribbon on September 4th, and then obviously Arcadia, which we'll be touring later. So.
Have we made the final payment on the Arcadia renovations?
Yes, sir, I believe we have.
Looks like on the financial report, there was nothing left to be funded, so.
That's correct.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, we move on to item 6 on the agenda, the Killdeer Mountain Manufacturing Business Development Project. We're going to come back to that and go first into executive session. If I can get a motion to enter into executive session to consider the Killdeer Mountain Manufacturing Business Development Project under 551-071, 072, and 087.
So move into executive session under those statutes.
Thank you.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Okay, we will now go into executive session. Good? All right. We are out of executive session. It is 4:31. We'll return back to item 6A on the agenda, the Killdeer Mountain Manufacturing Business Development Project.
And Mr. Chair, I forgot to mention that Kristen Hedger is on the line if you want to ask her to make any comments.
Okay. Hello, Kristen.
Maybe not.
Hold on one moment, I'm asking her to unmute.
Okay, I'm unmuted. Hello.
That's Kristen.
Okay. Hello,
This is Kristen.
joining us.
Yeah, this is Kristen Hedger.
Yes, thanks for joining us. Does anybody on EIC have any questions or comments for Kristen?
Welcome to Kerrville.
Well, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Uh-huh.
Thank you and your team for all your hard work in getting this together. I think we're ready for a motion to move forward.
Mr. President, I make a motion that we authorize the president and city manager to finalize the execution of agreements and take any and all other action with respect to the KMM project.
I'll second.
You have a motion and a second. All those in favor, raise your right hand. It is unanimously approved. Well, this represents a lot of hard work coming to conclusion, and Kristen, look forward to seeing lots of great success in the days ahead.
Thank you so much, and very grateful, and grateful for prayer, and looking forward to a lot of success ahead. Echo your sentiment.
Well, thanks very much. Okay, our next item on the agenda is possible action for items discussed in executive session. We've addressed that. Items for future agendas. Does anyone have anything? Okay, hearing none. Any announcements? Hearing none. We are adjourned. 4:33.